Take it away, Ian.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be host. All right. Welcome
Oh
to Net
yeah, yeah.
Profit.
When you're on here, it gives me an easier. You host,
All
my
right.
guy.
Yeah,
That's your
and
job,
we'll let
man.
you simmer down. It's been a tough day for Conor. So Net Profit College Basketball. Here we are, Monday, April 4th. It's the final show of the season. It's the final game of the college basketball season, and it's the national championship. What else can we say? There's nothing more that needs to be said. It's the Roy Williams Bowl, North Carolina and Kansas to determine the national champion tonight in college basketball. Ian Cameron, Conor Mack, Maxwell Smart. Before we get into the specifics of the game, side, total, player props that we like in the big game tonight, just a general summation of what we saw on the weekend in the Final Four and just overall thoughts on the game tonight as well. Just for me, I mean, obviously Kansas controlled it against Villanova. I don't even think Villanova played poorly. They just ran into a hot shooting Kansas team, couldn't miss, especially in the first half. The three-point shooting from Moshe Agbaji really put them behind the eight ball early in that game, and they never really recovered from that point on. And Kansas pretty much controlled the flow from that point on. And as far as Duke, North Carolina is concerned, couldn't ask for a better basketball game than that. It was back and forth, almost 20 lead changes throughout that game. Went right down to the wire. And look, one team made shots, one team got stops, one team made free throws in the last 2 minutes of that game. The other didn't. Really, it was that simple. And that's why North Carolina ended up beating Duke and are now in the national championship. Way to go, Hubert Davis. Hell of a job from where this team was just a few months ago. Conor Mack, what do you think of what happened Saturday, Final Four, and just overall thoughts on the big title game tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas was hot. They look like a really, really good team. It seems like a lot of Kansas love going around today. Can they shoot it well one more time? Same thing with North Carolina. They hit the shots big time. We'll get into this game a little bit more. I think Kansas is a little bit deeper, but I don't know if that makes them win tonight. They took advantage of Moore being out. I thought it was a key. Who knows? I mean, Gillespie came through for me, so that's all that mattered, even though my under didn't in that game. And yeah, just a back and forth battle. So it was good for me. Duke early, Carolina late. I kind of like that here in this game. We'll see if it'll happen tonight. So it would be interesting. I hope we have a good one. I hate these championship game blowouts. No one wants to see that. And both these teams have just been shooting it so well. I'm a little leery. One team could be Brick City tonight. So that's it.
All right, and few people, if any, love college basketball more than Maxwell Smart. Of course, tonight, the end of the season, and a great game to end the season, but at the same time, disappointment the season's ending. Max, thoughts overall?
Yeah, listen, it's been a really interesting season watching this extra year of COVID eligibility work these coaches that much harder. And I think that some of the things that I thought would change with the personnel being expanded on the rosters was the fact that grad transfers and transfers remained being not key pieces, not being pieces that take you to the next level, but plugging holes, plugging voids. And I do think that we need to have a better sense of that going into this transfer market season, knowing that while we do love what they did at the previous stop, the reality is when you transfer up, you average half of what you did. And when you transfer down, it's a totally different story.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're seeing it now. It's because it's like free agency has arrived in college basketball. Never mind NFL, NBA, all the others. It's here in college basketball too now every year, courtesy of the transfer portal. And as a result, now you've got to be able to be on top of this and get those, as you call it, signings essentially now in college. It's signing season now in college basketball now more so than ever before. And it's definitely making for more parity moving forward. And look, another great college basketball season. Really, the whole tournament's been very good. And I'll tell you what, not many people, I'm sure, had North Carolina, Kansas is their final two teams left standing before the tournament started. But here we are. So let's break down the game. We'll start with the side in the total first. We've got Kansas 4-point favorites, 152 the total. Game, of course, at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, the Big Easy, 9:20 p.m. Eastern, opening tip-off tonight. I think the thing that stands out about, let's talk Kansas first. They were extremely impressive against Villanova. I talked about the just impressive offensive display against an elite defensive team, because Villanova is a terrific defensive team. And for Kansas to shoot 54% from overall and from three-point range. Get Agbaji to shoot 6 of 7 from three-point range, 21 points overall for him. Christian Brown chipped in with 10 points, 2 of 6 from long distance as well. They got 3 of 5 from long distance from DeJuan Harris. And then, of course, the big mismatch Kansas exploited was the one thing that did concern me personally going into that game was where's the elite big on the Villanova Wildcats, and who is going to, and they don't have one, who is going to handle McCormick? Nobody did for Villanova. Nobody did. 25 points. He was a man possessed. He could not be contained in the paint by Villanova whatsoever. And he was a big story too in why Kansas got past Villanova. You transfer that to this matchup tonight against North Carolina. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for Mr. McCormick to find that room in the paint area simply because of the size that you're dealing with from an Armando Bacot, who is just an absolute beast against Duke. What can you say? 11 points, 21 boards. Are you kidding me? 21 rebounds in a Final Four game. It's insane stuff from Armando Bacot. Brady Manick as well, giving them a little bit of girth to deal with the likes of McCormick in a game like this. So it's going to be a little bit more tougher sledding probably for him. And it's funny, I like the points over on McCormick in that game against Villanova. I thought he'd have a huge advantage. Now you're going to probably see the points padded a little bit. In fact, you do. He was 9.5 with his points prop. It's 11.5 tonight. Probably a good time to go under that tonight because I think it's going to be tougher sledding. Other people are going to have to step up for Kansas tonight. And when you look at this matchup overall, look, Kansas is shooting it well. Kansas is lethal in transition, but so is North Carolina. And I think that's going to be interesting. Whose transition defense can be better tonight? Because both of these teams are going to be looking to exploit the other in terms of getting fast breaks and transition baskets. Who's going to be able to defend those opportunities? And more than anything, Kansas, the one little flaw that they've had in this tournament, guys, so far is cleaning up the defensive rebounding. It's been the one little Achilles heel they've had, and the one team that could exploit that Achilles heel more than anybody is North Carolina. They're an elite offensive rebounding team. They've been that way for years. They are that way again this season. So it's going to be critical that they keep North Carolina from getting those second and third chances. Look, I've been riding a North Carolina Tar Heels team now for several games. I took them, against Baylor, against UCLA. I did stay off them against St. Peter's because I was scared to go against Cinderella. But I jumped right back on the North Carolina train Saturday night against Duke. I thought Duke was just laying too many points. They padded that line because everybody and his brother was betting Duke publicly because of Coach K, them wanting to go out strong for him. And I thought there was value on North Carolina. I still think tonight there's value on North Carolina, and I'm going to be taking them again, +4, 4.5. Now, are there concerns? Yeah, they're not as deep as Kansas. They're a limited rotation. Do they get worn out second game in 3 days? No question there are concerns there. There are people making a big deal about this being a letdown spot for North Carolina. I say BS to that. How can there be a letdown? There's a championship at stake. All right, you could say, are they a little worn down? Are they a little fatigued? Maybe after the Duke game, and it was such a huge game. But to say a letdown, I don't buy that. This is a national championship game. There ain't no letdown in a spot like this. If North Carolina loses and I lose betting them, it's because they were beaten by Kansas, and Kansas was better. It's got nothing to do, in my opinion, with a letdown. So to me, I'm going to go back to the well with the Heels. And as far as the total goes, man, it's a high number for a title game. Maybe things get tight if it's close late, but both teams are going to push pace. That's the way they play. And with both teams, efficient the way they have been and the resurgence of Caleb Love, all of a sudden for North Carolina leading that backcourt, I think there's a chance maybe we could end up finding this game just getting over the total, although it'll probably be close to the number when it's all said and done. I actually did bet one of those booster bets at one of the books, both teams to score 75 points tonight at +250. I thought that was worth a look. I think both teams have a reasonable chance to get 75 points tonight. So I thought at +250, that was a decent bet. So it's another thing I like here in this one. Max, let's start with you on this national championship game. Thought things you like.
Well, I think that with Kansas, getting off to a hot 3-point shooting start is what propelled them last time out against Villanova. When you have Agbaji starting off in the first half, going 4 for 4 from the 3-point line, and the relative ease that he was able to get those shots off, even with a hand in his face, just shows that he really is playing at a different level and he's playing against children. I think that with Kansas, though, what really stands out to me is their improvement in their second half defense. I think that's going to be paramount.
Yeah.
Being able to lock down and be able to take away those running opportunities, especially those transition threes. You want to make North Carolina and Caleb Love work for those 3-point opportunities. And from a Baycott perspective, yes, I agree with you 100%. Ian, McCormick is going up against a completely different animal. And then you have to deal with the savviness of Brady Manick. But it is so important for this Kansas team to get off to a good start by feeding McCormick the ball and forcing Baycott to defend. We've seen what happens when he gets into foul trouble. He isn't as formidable offensively, but will still give you those rebounds, especially on the offensive side. I think it's a dangerous matchup. Obviously, I agree 100%. There's no such thing as a letdown in a national championship game. Anybody that said that had literally been smoking crack rocks and getting serviced by dudes underneath bridges instead of ladies of the night. I will also say that if Kansas wants to win this game, they better fucking tell Remy Martin, you got to make your second half free throws, and you got to be able to freaking answer bucket for bucket if North Carolina's in the lead. I don't think it's going to be the case. I think that Kansas early is definitely the play. And I think that when you talk about both teams scoring 75, Ian, I love that look.
All right. Yeah, I did too. I mean, both teams to score 75, and I got more than plus 200 on that. I thought that was pretty good. A good price considering what the I've just been impressed with the efficiency of these two teams. Kansas, like the last few games, their offense has been crisp, it's been sharp, they've been pushing that ball, their passing's been exquisite as well. And of course, North Carolina's offense is completely transformed with Caleb Love, finding his shooting game big time the last couple games that the Tar Heels have won here in this tournament. Conor Mack, what are you liking here? Title game.
Well, I think Love has got to be big again. You're asking a lot. I mean, both these teams shot it so well. You guys went over it. And that's why they're in this game here. I think you got to keep going. I think that's paramount to give it to McCormick. Try to get Baycott. Who knows how bad this ankle is? I mean, obviously he's going to go, but he's really it for them down low. I mean, he's their guy. Like I said, they're only going to go maybe 6 deep. I mean, I don't even know if they go 7 here in this game tonight. I think Manick can hit big shots. I think Davis has played a little bit better throughout the whole year for Carolina. Big key for them, you mentioned Kansas not rebounding the basketball. 11-1 North Carolina is in the last 12. All those games they went on the glass. So I think that could be a problem for Kansas, putbacks, shit like that. But Kansas is talented, and they're a little bit deeper. Maybe they just are peaking at the right time. I kind of thought the same thing as last game with Duke early, Carolina late. I think Kansas early if you like them. I think this is too many points. I'm going to bank on North Carolina to get it done in the end. But I think Baycott and those fouls will be big. And the big shots with Love, I think he's the question mark. I think Manick's been pretty consistent. But it won't be easy. This is a star study. You can't get better than this. I mean, come on. I know a lot of people are loving Kansas, but North Carolina, Kansas, I love it, and it should be great. It should be a good one tonight. And on the total, I agree with you guys. I mean, I love a good under. It's not easy with these two teams. National championship game, though, it could get tight late. But defensively, I'm not impressed with either of these teams, except for Kansas, a little bit Max mentioned, in this tournament in the second half. They've looked better to me than during the year because I faded them. We talked about it a lot, especially not at home. But this tournament, they've looked a lot different. So it'll be interesting. I think both teams, get into the 70s. And what's their point totals? I mean, 76, 77, something like that? 77, yes. 74?
They've been averaging big points here in the tournament. And, of course, both of them got into the 80s over the weekend.
Yes. Yeah. I think their totals get over. Again, Carolina's been averaging 77, too, those last 12 since they get hot. I think the game's got to be at that pace. Go ahead.
I hate to simplify things, but if Kansas plays, it does two things from a defensive standpoint. Forces North Carolina out of the rhythm for 20 minutes of this game, whether it be the first half or the second half, and taking away that 3-point shot that they've been so dependent on. Because one thing that we can say is that Kansas is not going to be a pushover defensively inside the paint. They have length, they have enough bodies, like you guys mentioned, and this is where I want to see my guy Trey's freaking blood, his nephew KJ Adams, guy who can't shop for his own underwear, has to get his mom to do that, to come out and give you some defensive minutes. I don't expect anything scoring wise, but that's the kind of kid that can give you 3 or 4 minutes of good defense when you need it most. And this is the national championship game. I want to see someone step out of the shadows that we never predicted would.
Yeah, I definitely. I think, could this be a night for, Jalen Wilson for Kansas? As Christian Brown was that, unsung hero for them? Is it someone off the grid? Even for North, is this Leaky Black all of a sudden out of nowhere for North Carolina that has a huge game? So, maybe guys that weren't as prominent Saturday night, sometimes those are the ones that in the championship game, when they're talking going from the Final Four semifinal to the championship game, making a bigger impact. Player props, are there any that you guys like? I mean, I already like McCormick under. I mentioned that already because I think it's a totally different matchup tonight, where he's going to find a lot more taller, tougher sledding. And not to mention, North Carolina knows he went off for 25 against Nova. They're going to go the extra mile to really try to keep him in check tonight. I think on under 11.5 points, David McCormick for Kansas. Not a bad player prop. I'm going to stick from an over perspective on points for North Carolina to Love and Manick. Manick over 16.5, Love over 17.5. I think if those are the guys that are going to be scoring for them, if they're going to have success tonight. For Kansas, I would consider, because he's really been feeling it right now, Christian Brown at over 12.5. I really think that's going to be difficult for North Carolina to completely contain him. We know at times they can give up threes and looks from distance, and Christian Brown's the kind of guy for Kansas that's got that 3-point stroke going right now. So Brown over, McCormick under for Kansas. I'd probably look at Caleb Love and both Brady Manick over their point totals for North Carolina. So those are the player props I'm pretty much zoned in on for this game tonight. Conor, is there any player props for tonight that you like?
There wasn't a ton for me in this game. I mean, a lot of these starters, obviously Kansas is deeper, but they're all 17, 18 points. Manick was one that I looked at, the 16.5, or you can get 17 at even money. I thought that was decent. And that was about it for my player props. I think you can go a lot of people with Kansas. Will he be still real hot from three? His is what, 16.5, 17? I mean, he's their best player. I think he has the rock. I think he could go over tonight. He's around 17.5. I think he could get it. Baycott's the big key to me. I want to see him do well. This guy's been a machine. I mean, look at his boards is at 15, his total. How bad is this ankle? I mean, he's been ripping down 20 boards every game. So it's just key with him. I like to see it early, and I think they're going to go to him, try to get some quick fouls. I would with McCormick real quick on him.
Yeah, even Brown. I mentioned Brown over points. Brown over 1.5 made threes at plus 125 is not bad either, because it fits hand in hand with, I think North Carolina can be vulnerable along the perimeter defensively at times, and he's the kind of guy a guy that shoots
take the
30% lifetime from three. Yeah.
Carolina's been shooting threes. Then they're living, dying by it, but they've been able to live. So I want to hope one more time.
Funny
because every once in a while when they had those bad games, though, they would just be dreadful. They just couldn't hit a shot during the year. I don't want to see that in the championship game. So I hope we see a good one today.
Yeah, that's true. Their shooting's definitely improved. Anything on the player props, Max, that you like?
Yeah, no, I think that when it came to Abaji, I think that made the most sense when it came to the Kansas side. If Jalen Wilson was at 11.5 instead of 12.5, I'd be on that. And I think that with RJ Davis over 1.5 3-point shots, the percentage isn't good, but the clutchness has been. And if he does get those clean, open catch and shoot looks from the 3-point corner, I do think he can knock down 2 of them at minus 118.
There you go. All right. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely doable. And it's a question of, does he get those chances? Does he make them? Very potentially that is the case in my opinion as well. Great. All right, there we go. We're going to keep it nice and short, sweet, to the point. It's only the one game side total. Props. Baycott is going to play 100%. We won't know until shoot around and when the game starts. You'll be able to tell mobility wise, going to get side to side without any pain. with he's going to have to put pressure on that, and we'll see if he can
shoot him up.
Yeah, exactly. It's national championship.
He's gonna go.
You play through that in a game like this. I have no doubt whatsoever. We'll see Mr. Baycott tonight for the North Carolina Tar Heels. But yeah, great stuff, guys. Well, if you got a best bet, whether it's a side, whether it's a total, whether it's a player prop, we'll wrap up with that right now. Conor, Mac, we'll start with you. Best bet for the national championship game.
Well, I got to give a shout out to the goddamn chat, the best goddamn chat in the goddamn game, hands goddamn down. As I've said all year, as this is our last show, I got to make sure we hit the chat here. Babano and Max. So Real Deal Prime, the grinder, been here every day, selling heat pumps across Canada all the time. I got razor sharp picks. G Martinez, 1777 memorabilia. Cab, what up, my man? Jimmy Gomez, Res Mob, Star Child. Shout out to everybody in here. G's up in here. Trent Claxton up in here. Eric Jones, Aaron. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button one last goddamn time for us here for NCAA net profit. I'm going with the dog. My best bet. Plus 4.5, Carolina. I'm going to live and die by it. Kansas, everyone, they're going to win by double figures. I want to see it. So North Carolina plus 4.5.
North Carolina plus 4.5 for Conor Mack with his best bet for the national championship game. Maxwell Smart, what do you got?
Listen, I've been pretty vocal about how I do think Kansas is a good starter. However, I do think that this is the one opponent that can really take advantage of some of their vulnerabilities late in games. And like I said, if Remy Martin does not convert better than 3 of 7 in the second half free throws, those could be critical points and they could decide the national championship. I love underdogs in a national championship. I love 2 games within 1. So I'm rolling with Kansas first half -2. I'm rolling with North Carolina to win it all plus 175.
So there you go. It's Kansas first half -2. And I know a lot of people that like Kansas -2 first half and then North Carolina plus 4.5 full game. But Max is going a step further. Kansas -2 first half. The money line for North Carolina for the full game at a nice plus price there for his best bet. And I'll go with the total for best bet. I think it gets there. We're talking 151 is the best number out there right now. Caesars has it. A couple other books have 151.5, DraftKings and others. I think we get there because I think both teams get to 75. So because I like that boost bet that I took at plus 250, that obviously I expect the 150 to hit. And so obviously I think we can get over 151, 151.5 as well. Again, if it's a close game late, you could get some fouls late in the game, which could help the cause as well. I think it gets over that number. It'll be close. It won't be easy, but I think it'll get there, just like the Duke North Carolina game. And that only got there with a couple minutes left, but it did get there. I think this one will as well. Let's go over 151.5 with North Carolina and Kansas for my best bet for the national championship game in college basketball tonight. We thank everybody all season long. I mean, I was with Conor and Max every Saturday throughout the season. It was a lot of fun. They were here Monday to Friday. It's always sad when we see a sport go for another year, but it just means, hey, it's time on to the next one, right? That's what it always means. The next one's right around the corner, and we'll have college basketball back in November. Before you know it, we will have it back once again. And probably hoping to have net profit back once again right here on Pub Sports Radio in the fall, just like it was. So thanks all season long to everybody that tuned in, that supported, that hit the like button. We definitely appreciate each and every one of you. 99 live viewers right now. Hit that like button. And of course, we've got so much great content for baseball, UFC, you name it, coming up. NBA, Pub still going. So plenty coming up here over the course of the next several months and much more as well right here on Pub Sports Radio. Great stuff. Conor Mack, final words before we shut it down.
Nothing. It's been a great year, a long year. Hopefully we get a great basketball game to end it with 2 blue bloods, 2 great teams. And I think we get it. I want to send it to Max, and I'll throw it out here with the last We Be Pubbing. But any last words for the chat? I got to throw it to my guy, Maxwell Smart. Last words, last NCAA net profit. Tell him some words of wisdom.
Something to Glenn, too. Yeah.
Well, listen, Conor.
Don't bring him up. You can't. Don't stick him. He'll only keep rolling.
No. it's been a very interesting season, Connor. It's been fantastic to spend an hour with you every day. I like you. That's rare. I don't like a lot of people. And and Connor, I'll also say this, when you start swearing, even though you try not to, I catch it. I remember. I enjoyed it. It was fantastic. And Ian, obviously a fellow Canadian, fellow Ontarian, we're obviously fucking great people. I don't need to fucking go into that much. We drink our maple syrup, we slap people with beaver tails, and of course we wear plaid shirts. So it's a great time up here in Ontario. And you know what? To everybody at Pub Sports, you guys have been fantastic, putting up with my bullshit, putting up with my fucking talk. And to Jeff Slaughter out there, wherever you are, keep slaying, Slaughter. You're a fucking
Shout
beast.
out to our guy.
You're a
Slaughter.
fucking beast.
That guy's a champion. No question.
Just remember, guys, dip your chicken tenders in not honey mustard. Don't follow our friend Nick's fucking terrible example. Support your local strippers. They need soap panties. Our winnings got to pay for that shit. So,
there we go.
Well said.
Awesome
Shout
stuff.
out to him. Real quick.
Star Child.
Yeah.
I'll be back. Yeah, NBA Pub Up's back tomorrow.
Oh, NBA every day.
Connor, you're
days a
taking
week.
us out.
Taking us out of here. To my guys, the legends, Babano, the great Maxwell Smart, the legend himself. I'm just Conor Mack. I'm glad to be here, baby. But you know what we be doing. We be pumping! Peace!